good morning, and happy Monday. Welcome to another Mission Minded Monday here with me, Asia Nasir, your favorite nonprofit strategist and founder of Utopian Enterprise Business Solution and author of my book, Nonprofit Doesn't Mean No Profit. And what do I do? What do I do? If you're new to my page or if you're new to our content, this is the first time you're tuning in. As I mentioned, I am the founder of my consulting firm, Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions, where my mission is to assist aspiring and existing founders to fulfill their missions in real time. So I come here every other Monday to share some vital information, some nonprofit content and strategies to be able to help you fuel, your mission and to, as I mentioned before, fulfill it in real time, but with strategy. With a plan to be able to execute the things that you want to execute for your nonprofit organization. So today is no different. We have a great topic, great discussion that we're going to be talking about today that I think is relevant. And you're going to see that this year, my goal is not just to provide strategy, which, last year my theme was impact. Now this year into going to 2026, looking at the time specifically and being very strategic with the times that we're in, first quarter, end quarter, where we are, and just, upcoming events and things like that that are going to be extremely important to a nonprofit, and build strategy so you can maximize the time that you're in, that season that you're in, that's going to help you to really, really fulfill your mission, and to be able to, impact the community that you're serve. So let's get right into what our mission-minded theme is today, and that is fail forward. Yep, I said it. Fail forward, learning from your setbacks. So I want to start by asking three important questions, three very important questions that I think we are now embarking into fourth quarter. We're at the end of, third quarter. In a few days, we're going to be done with third quarter, but we still have fourth quarter, the end of the year. So with that, this should be some time for some self-reflection for your nonprofit organization. You might even already been asking yourself a couple of questions or kind of assessing and seeing where you're at. So I want to ask three important questions, and I actually wrote them down so I don't forget. But I want to ask three important questions as a nonprofit founder, or maybe you're a board of director tuning in here. I want you to ask yourself these three questions as we move into fourth quarter, the last 3 months of the year. So the first question is, what's one thing your nonprofit tried this year that didn't go as planned, but taught you something valuable? What's one thing that your nonprofit tried this year that didn't go the way you wanted it to go, but you actually learned a valuable lesson in the process? Okay, so that's question number one. Question number two is, if you could change one thing or one decision from earlier this year, maybe the start of the year or second quarter, what would it be, and how would you approach it differently? So if you could change something from earlier in the year, what would that thing be? What would you do differently? Okay. So now I want you to be thinking more strategically, not necessarily, well, that didn't work and this is not what I wanted, but strategically. All right. And the last question that I want to ask is, looking now into 2026, what's one area that you are really determined to strengthen in your organization? Okay. These are really some important questions that you should be asking yourself as a nonprofit founder. When you are running a public entity like a nonprofit, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, this is a business. You are in the business of assisting and doing charitable work for your community to impact the community where you see a void, right? But it is a business. And these are questions that if you're not having foresight, or if you are not reflecting on things like this, your business is not going to to do well. It's not going to fare well, and you're not going to be able to make the impact that you know your organization can do. You know what it needs, and you're not able to fulfill it. So we don't want that to happen. So today I want us to focus on failing forward, and how to utilize those setbacks as a strong comeback for your nonprofit. Okay, so as I mentioned before, with it being us embarking on fourth quarter, this is really a time not to beat yourself up, not to be like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's not what this is about. But what this is about is you actually taking the data, the information, because every, grant that you got denied, every event that did not go the way you wanted it to, every fundraiser that missed this mark, it's not, just that it's just a bad thing. That's data that you can actually take in, and it's also direction for where you want to go and what you don't want to do moving forward, right? So it's actually a good thing. We learn our greatest lessons from our mistakes, even in our personal life. So let's do that. The key, though, is not making the same mistake over and over. All right. So I'm going to share about 3 to 4 strategies this morning to help you to really be able to shift that and turn that from something that didn't work for you and make it work. All right. So let's get right into strategy number 1. So strategy number 1 is audit your wins, right? Audit your wins as a board, as an organization, audit your wins. But see what went well, what went great, how that maximized your organization, whether it brought awareness, visibility, funding, all of those great things. But I also want you to audit the misses, the things that didn't go well. Some of us say the L. I want you to audit that as well. And don't sugarcoat it. Don't go, well, we can do better next year, and then just move on as if though this is just a hit or miss, or this is just something that is not important, or something that, yeah, we recognize it. We know that one didn't go well, but no, I want you to assess and go line by line. Every minute meeting that you were like, okay, these were the decisions that we made, that, remember I was saying, if you could go back and you can make, do something differently, what were the decisions that was made in order to, go after that event or put on that event? What went wrong? You see what I'm saying? Line by line, and look at, what? Yeah, that event didn't go. Let's start going by, our calendar and seeing which ones had a return on our investment. What campaign didn't go well, right? What event didn't go well? Which one didn't bring us? We spent more energy, and we exerted more energy than it actually gave us back, or that it produced for us, right? These are really important things to take a look at, because this is going to let you know how to fix it. This gives you the power back, instead of feeling like we didn't do well, and we're feeling bad about it, and maybe we should just close our doors. This is not working, or this is not what I expected it to be. Especially as a first generation entrepreneur, it's difficult, because you're navigating the first time without someone giving you a blueprint, right? But here's the thing, is your blueprint. Your mistakes are your blueprint, things that you could have done better. So instead of just saying would have, could have, should have, now this is a matter of taking that information and being actually able to say, okay, naming what's wrong, seeing which event didn't go right, which grant, didn't go well, or was, maybe you're repetitively getting denied, this grant, or campaign, whatever it is. Now you can take the power back and not feel like, you're just succumbing to whatever, but now you can take the power back and actually looking at strategically and saying, yeah, these particular things didn't work for us this year. These particular events and efforts did not give us a return on investment. So now you're actually seeing what went well and which ones didn't. Okay, so that's the first step. That's the first step in being honest with yourself, not sugarcoating it, and saying, look, these events went well, keep them. These things that we did, not so good, right? So acknowledging which ones didn't go well, right? Which campaign, which grant, which fundraiser, which campaign, whatever it is, this didn't go well. Now there's a part two to that, which is strategy number two. And this is actually probably the most important part. And that's asking yourself or getting to the root of why it didn't work, why it did not give you the return on investment. Why was this a setback for your nonprofit organization, right? So again, don't just stop at we acknowledge that this didn't go well, but now get to the root of why it didn't go well. Was it we didn't have the capacity and have the manpower to be able to put this type of event on? Was the timing off? Did we not give it enough time to promote? Did we not give it enough time for people to register or to be aware that we were doing this or that, right? So was the timing off? Maybe the timing of the event wasn't a good time. You know, maybe the day of the week that you put it on or the time that you put it on may not have worked well. Or it could be your marketing strategy. Was the message not clear? And people really didn't understand what you were trying to do or what you were trying to put on or how they could assist you. Was that ambiguous? Could there have been more clarity as it comes to the see? Now you're getting to the nitty gritty. You're getting to the meat and potatoes, right? Of why this particular thing didn't go well. Was this grant misaligned? Is this grant not aligning with this grant funder and what we do? Maybe you thought it was, but maybe we need to relook their guidelines and see who have they funded in the past. You know, maybe we could go to GuideStar and see who has this grant funder funded in the past. What nonprofits have they funded? And maybe you can see, well, maybe we're not as aligned as I thought we were, right? So now you have some strategies to getting to the root of why. So now this allows you to not only take your power back, but this now also gets you to see what exactly was the setback. What was the setback, right? Or not enough buy-in from your board. A lot of times, you know, nonprofit founders that end up being a one-man, one-woman show, a lot of times they're limited to their only resources, but they have 4 and 5 people on their board who have not done any of the work to be able to assist in making this project, this program, this event, this campaign successful. So it could be a misalignment with your board and your board not having the buy-in or the commitment within your organization. And that's something you got to be honest with, because with a nonprofit organization, 9 times out of 10, the make or break for you is going to be your executive team, which is your board of directors. This gives you the blueprint. So even if you are a first generation entrepreneur and you've never run a business before, and you said, well, I don't have the blueprint, I don't have this is the blueprint. Because now you are doing your due diligence to see what exactly was the setback for your nonprofit organization, what did not work. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. Because there's no point in waiting until 26 to figure out what didn't go right. You want to do that before to set yourself up for success, right? So strategy number 3 is, now that you've done we're aware what didn't go right. Now we know why we didn't go right. Now it's time to reframe those things that you found as a setback or a failure or something that didn't go well, right? Failing forward. Now you want to reframe those failures as the data that you need in order to kick off next year with learned mistakes, learning from your setbacks and doing it differently this time, right? So if your gala or your event or your fundraiser, flopped, it didn't go the way you had intended it for it to go. Now you know more than what you did before. Now you know more than what you did before, and now you can use this information to be able to actually implement the correction. So now this is a matter of taking action. This is a matter of you being able to take and assess what went wrong and actually implement. So, for example, if you wrote a grant and you keep seeing that I keep getting denied, I keep getting denied, I gave you some advice as to see who they're funding, right? Or maybe you're a grassroots nonprofit and you're like, you know what? I keep getting my grants denied. Maybe You can go to the college. A lot of the colleges have professors. They have professors who are there that maybe you could sit down with one of the professors, see if you can meet with one of them to actually review your grant proposal. Or maybe you have someone in your network who's a grant writer, or someone who's written grants before, where maybe you can't hire them to actually do grant writing, but you can maybe hire them to review the grants and they can give you some pointers. Maybe you can take a grant writing class, able to say missing the mark on in clarifying our position, our mission, the impact that we'll have in our community. What's the void? Maybe we don't have the data to show that this is a real issue in our community, and I need to be able to make that clear in my proposals, right? So you have some options that you can utilize. Have a second pair of eyes, take a look at your grants, so that way maybe they can look at it and say, okay, here is where this is ambiguous, or this really didn't answer the question. Or, maybe your budget needs to have some tightening up, where maybe you can, get whoever does your tax returns or whatever, a bookkeeper, someone to assist you in being able to get the information that is needed in order to turn those grant rejections around. Right? So now it's reframing those failures and now taking a look at, what can we do? So it's not a matter of repeating it. And this is the thing. Now you're able to be proactive. Now you're able to be proactive about this situation instead of being reactive. Like, okay, here we didn't get this grant. This fundraiser didn't go well. And then being discouraged, feeling discouraged, and feeling like, well, maybe this was not a good move. Maybe this was not a good decision for me to start a nonprofit. No, every business, even the successful ones, had their fails, and they did what we call fail forward. They used that fail as a means to move forward, to fuel them forward, but learning from the mistakes, not repeating them. And that's really what the key is here. And this is the time that you should do that. We're on the cusp of 2026. This is the time. This is the time that you should actually do this now, and not wait till 2026. January is not the time that you want to start this and reviewing how you're going to do this. It's looking at, you have enough data. We're at the end of the year. You have enough data from 2025 to be able to say what went well and what didn't. And now getting to the why of why it didn't work, and then now taking some strategy and doing it smarter, not harder. Right? So here are just some bullet points, right? Where some lessons that you can, get some answers from, where you're going to turn it around, really turn it around. So if, as I mentioned before, if it's grants, right? Maybe you're missing the mark. Maybe you're missing grants, like, oh, I didn't have time to actually submit those grant applications. I had all these grants I wanted to, but then by the time I got to it, the deadline had already, passed. Maybe that's what's going wrong. If that is indeed the case, what you want to do is to create a grant submission calendar, where you have reminders that whoever it is, your job, if it's you as the executive director, or if it's someone within your organization that does it, make sure that you are sitting with this person, or if you're doing it, make sure that you have a calendar. I actually have one of the, I'm old school. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I don't really use smartphones, but some people use a CRM, reminders, whether it's on Google or an actual software that they use. I actually use a big calendar, where you have a calendar, a planner, and I actually have highlights on there to say, this is when this grant is coming up. This is a rolling one, but this is when the submissions need to be entered, because sometimes you have quarterly submissions. So having something in place, knowing that you have something looking forward, and this is the time to do it. Maybe some year-end funding. This is the time to do it. You have a lot of corporations and grant funders that are foundations that are wanting to give money at the end of the year. And I have something that I want to share with you at the end of this live, as it relates to year-end funding, right? But this is a great time for you to be able to assess that and look at that. What corporations can we ask for? They're needing that tax write-off for 2025. A lot of businesses are looking for that tax write-off. A lot of businesses are if they're into philanthropy and giving back to the community, they are looking for a nonprofit to be able to give money to. So this is where you should be assessing that and building which corporations you want to ask for. What corporations do you network with or have some type of synergy with that you can reach out to? You have some organizations that are willing to do matching campaigns or fundraisers where they'll match what you raise dollar for dollar. So it increases. So if I'm raising 2,500, they're going to give 2,500, which doubles, and that 5,000 can go towards your 2026 year to be able to help you, sustain a program or something like that. So that's for your grants or fundraising, kind of thing. Board. You might want to assess your board right now and re-energize your board or re-educate your board on their within the organization and their responsibility to the mission, right? Maybe they need some training. Maybe they need to have a refresher if they're not doing their job. Or in some cases, and I've had this conversation with clients, you got to do a fresh recruitment, whole new recruitment, start over. If you have, inactive board, you may have to start over, and maybe that's the goal for 2000, fourth quarter, is to get you a new board that has the understanding of what their responsibilities, their funding responsibilities, their fiduciary responsibilities, all of those things. Now you can just kind of hit the reset button, start over, but do it the right way now. Educating them from the beginning, making sure that they understand what their roles are. And if you're holding on to the board that you have because you see potential, retraining them and having them understand. Maybe they don't know what their roles are. Maybe you were not clear on that in the beginning, but now you can retrain and everybody get on the same page to be able to move forward in 2026, right? Or if there's programs that need to be revamped, tweaked, adjusted, maybe there's some data that needs to be pulled, so that way you can kind of see what's going well, what's not going well within the recipients. Maybe some new programs, maybe some collaborations you can look at to see how you can enhance your program and get it to the masses, right? So there's so many different things that you can do to really be able to assess taking those lessons and then taking concrete actions to be able to change it. Okay. So this Mission Minded Monday was not to make you feel bad, not to make you feel like, oh, I got to focus on my setbacks. You should be focusing on your setbacks because you don't want to repeat it again. It's like that saying, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. A different result is not going to happen. You have to make sure that you are assessing and working smarter, not harder, right? So remember when I was mentioning here on the year-end funding? Well, guess what? Utopian Enterprises, I mentioned before, I am going to be very strategic. I am being very strategic this year and in that going into next year of making sure that I'm offering things that are time sensitive that's going to help you to be able to maximize. So what's coming up when we're talking about year-end funding? That's right. Giving Tuesday, which is the biggest nonprofit fundraising event for every nonprofit, whether large or small. It's what you make of it, right? It's what you do to prepare for Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday this year is December 2nd, right after Thanksgiving, right after Black Friday. So that's what it is every year. So December 2nd is what it is. What are you doing to prepare for the biggest fundraising event for nonprofits? If you don't have a strategy, I'm going to help you with that strategy. So I actually have an event coming up. I'm actually going to put the in the feed here. I'm actually going to put in the comments how you can get you and your board, talking about getting your board buy-in. I'm actually doing a event. I'm actually doing intensives, 4 intensives a year. This is going to be the first one because I'm like, we got to get the year kick off on the right note. And it's helping you to strategize and being able to be strategic for your Giving Tuesday, not just posting up something on Giving Tuesday on social media saying, hey, it's Giving Tuesday, we're 501c3, want to donate to us? Being more strategic so that way you can use that one day to propel you for strategy for the entire year. So let's get this link in here. I want you and your board, and it's virtual. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This event is for you. I just put it up on here. It actually has our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. You should be able to see the link here where you and your entire team can come on board virtually and be able to learn and get the whole buy-in. Get your board buy-in so that way you can make this Giving Tuesday what it needs to be. Giving Tuesday is just that, but you got to have some strategy behind it. You can't wing this event. And I'm going to tell you, the big nonprofits, the successful nonprofits, they are planning, they are strategizing as we speak. So if you're not strategizing, guess who's getting that funding? They are, because they're strategizing for it. They're making the effort. They're doing their due diligence. You got to get on board. And it's this October 11th. It's the event. And as I mentioned, I'm making it so easy for everyone to have their whole board because it's virtual. So it doesn't matter. I'm in Delaware, but you can be anywhere around the world and you can get this information. This is vital. This is vital. And if you are a startup nonprofit, I got a special for you. So if you go on that link, you'll be able to see the investment. The financial investment is going to be much less for a startup. It means if you have been, in existence for 1 year or less, a year or less, there's a special pricing for you and your entire team. Get your entire team to invest in this. Get your whole team involved. If you have some funding, this is going to be vital to you being able to do this, and then take the tools from this Giving Tuesday to help you with future campaigns and future fundraisers to make sure that you are being strategic in your plan. That's what this is all about, is having strategy, taking a look back and being more proactive versus reactive. You want to be proactive, not sitting back, but taking what's yours, taking what your organization deserves, what your community deserves, and the impact that you want to make, being very strategic. Every business owner needs to be strategic. Thank you, Stacia. Thank you, Stacia, for tuning in. I'm so glad that I'm glad that you found this beneficial. So if you're listening and you don't even know where to begin, here's a start. Here's a start. This is that year-end funding that I was talking about. These these for-profit businesses are in need of some tax write-offs. So this may be you might be the organization that they need. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And if you are interested in having me come in and actually train and work with your board to help them understand what their roles are and their responsibilities to help you be able to fulfill your missions in real time, you can set up, and I'm going to put my email address here. So you can set up a consultation with me so I can see exactly where what issues maybe your organization is having, so I can customize the training for you. So I put my email address here, Utopian Enterprise Biz, B-I-Z, solutions@gmail. Reach out to me. Let's get this going, so that way your 2026 is what you want it to be, and getting it off on the right track and strong. So the next 2 weeks, I'll be coming back for another Mission Minded Live here with you, Mission Minded Monday with you, so that way you can, kind of think about this, process it, and bring it back to your organization, so that way everybody's on the same team with some actual strategies, action plans for you to be able to do what you need to do to fulfill your mission for for your organization and for the community that you're looking to serve. So see you in the next couple of weeks, God willing, for another Mission Minded Monday.